Cracking everybody, welcome back to the channel. And look who we have here. Jamie Morgan Kane. So this is a new one. He just did a new interview. This one's 3 weeks old. This was sent to me by one of the subscribers, Spanky. Thank you, Spanky. I think it was Spanky. No, it wasn't Spanky, man. My bad. Was it? I apologize. Whoever sent it, thank you for sending it. I haven't seen it. I just want to see if he's got any new stories. If they're the same, are they still the same? But it looks like he's wearing the outfit he paroled in. He's been out 5 years or something, right? He's been out a few years. And he's gotten millions of views. He's the baddest dude to ever walk the planet. Chuck Norris is afraid of him. You know, supposedly Chuck Norris is a tough guy or some shit. So Chuck Norris is afraid of him. He has a weird story. We're gonna go ahead and check this one out. This one again, 34 years. What? Okay, first of all, this is by LAD Bible. This interview. Shout out to LAD Bible. But why does it say 34 years in a death row prison? Wow. That's a good one. Let's go.
My first actual interaction with him, he was at the canteen line, and he would have rocks that he had painted. And he goes, "You want to buy one of my rocks?" "No, I don't want to buy one of your rocks." "Well, you don't want to buy one of my rocks?" And he goes, "Don't you know who I am? I'm Charles Manson. I'm more famous than Jesus Christ."
Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear. So that's what he looked like when he went into prison. Jamie was born in the UK in 1954 and brought illegally into the USA as a baby. All right. So, that's what he looked like. That's what the guy looked like that beat up everybody in prison that came anywhere near him. He punched people's crotches until their eyes rolled back and broke people's wrists and ankles and wow. That's him. In 1983, Jamie and wife were arrested over the death of a family friend. He took a plea deal to save his wife and was sentenced on murder charges. He would serve 34 years in prison for murder, in which he denies to this day. All right, let's see. After his conviction, he was transferred to Folsom.
We arrived there on a gray school bus type thing, modified school bus called the Gray Goose. And Folsom looks like a castle and has a big turret right there at the front gate, and it's got a big stone gateway coming in and big iron gates that slam behind you and just reverberate through the bus. You know, and it really does. They tell you it's the end of the line, and it really does feel like that. You can feel the misery in the place. You can feel the hate in the place. You can feel.
I agree with that part. I don't know about that's just details. That's Stephen King stuff. The gates reverberated throughout the bus and touched my soul and kind of made me want to pee a little bit. That's what he meant. But it is absolutely true. When you step into a level 4, the hate is in the air, the misery is in the air, and the tension is in the air. The violence, everything. It's a different feeling, man. You walk into those places, it's like electricity in the air. It's weird, but when you grow up in that environment, you know, it's normal to you. This guy, obviously, from his picture when he was incarcerated, he was like a baker or something, and he was not. I don't know. I was gonna go on one about him, but I don't know him like that. We're just gonna go by. We already know because I've done a few reactions. Those of you, if you haven't seen him, go back and check out the other reactions. The guy's hilarious. I don't know if he's gonna go into all that stuff. I hope he does, because then we're gonna have more fun.
Feel all these different emotions, and none of them are joy and happiness. Those don't come into play. We come off the bus. The bus drops us off, backs up, and goes out. We're standing there in line at the receiving and release unit. And we have a sergeant. He's walking out front there, and he says, I want to welcome you all to Folsom State Prison. It's the second oldest prison. It was built in 1880. And he's talking, he's giving us this entry welcome spiel. One of the people that had come up with us was a very young kid, real long hair and stuff. And while he was at Vacaville, which had a very large gay population, what they would call BCAT-Bs, which were the effeminates. And he's got paint and nails and makeup on. And he's standing between me and this other guy. And as the sergeant's walking back and forth, suddenly the gate behind him, coming out of 5 building, slams open, and out comes running this little Mexican guy running for his life. And just seconds behind him is this great big Mexican guy with a big old knife in his hand, about an 18-inch blade. And the small guy turns and looks at us for a moment and runs into the corner of the yard fence, bounces off, and the big guy gets there and stabs him up. Now, we have gunners on the yard. They have shotguns, so they have...
I'm just wondering, why is he running around R&R like that? Oh my God, look at his face. Yeah, bro. I don't believe you either. That's two of us. But I don't get it. I just don't understand. Where are they at? I was never in Old Folsom. I was next door in New Folsom. When I entered the CDC, Old Folsom had just turned level 2. I believe it was level 2. New Folsom was level 4. And so that was the first prison I landed on. To get into New Folsom, you have to pass the gate he was talking about. So I don't know. People, whoever was there, let me know. Does this even sound so far? I mean, this is the same story he told before. I'm not going to even go back and check the details between the two stories. I did a video on it. You guys can check it. But it doesn't make sense to me.
Pistols. None of them were able to react fast enough to stop that guy from stabbing this kid. Yep. But he stabs him up, throws the knife down, and waits until all these guards run out and guff him up. And the sergeant, without breaking stride, goes, and as you notice here at Folsom State Prison, we have unscheduled extracurricular activities happening at any given moment. And the sergeant goes, you two, pick your girlfriend up and bring her inside. You could have 3 stabbings during your yard time before they finally close the yards and make you go back to your cells. Because they would just shut the yard, they'd put everybody on.
New Folsom was pretty much the same. I remember especially if they got the hitter and obviously the victims, leaking. But if a dude got whacked and they saw who did it, they'll cuff him up, take the victim out on a gurney and resume yard. I even saw an incident where it was racial. We had the Crips jump on a white dude first yard. He ran second yard. Second yard, there was an incident. They just brought us in. They released the kitchen workers. The war was on. Somebody got stabbed. And that's how it was. New Folsom was like that. Them cops came from Old Folsom, so I believe that part. But I still don't believe a dude running around where the cops would be to whack somebody when you can hit them on the tier, hit them in different places. So I don't know.
On the ground, come out, pick up the body, take the body away, and resume yard. But after the third time, they go, that's enough. Okay, everybody go back to your cells. Playtime's over. Violence was such a normal thing that if it didn't happen for a period of time, you started getting nervous because that meant something was brewing. But you'd be trying to eat chow. And we had metal serving trays where our food came up. And at that time, they gave you metal forks and metal spoons, which, of course, people turned into stabbing instruments. But what they do with the trays, they'd sharpen the tray on the concrete floor, and then they'd fling it across the room. And it would hit you, and it could peel a person's scalp, right?
Okay. Thank you for the comedy, Jaime. Nobody in prison, nobody that has ever been to prison will believe that story at all. This is the stuff. This is the stuff that these ex-cons that get out that want to manipulate the masses into believing that they individually are something greater than what they are. These are the little things that they do. Okay. Anybody that's been to prison in California, I can't speak of no other state, but in California, everything is broken down under political lines and then racial lines in that order. It's not broken down in racial lines first. It's political. Um, Nobody is going to be allowed by their car, by their group, by their faction to sling a tray towards any other group because of the potential for an immediate riot and death. So this, they slide the tray. I mean, they grind the tray, they sharpen the tray. For what? They got knives. He just admitted they have knives. What is the point of flinging a tray? It's not gonna kill nobody. That would be considered like a PC move. I remember in the joint when I don't get into the whole all the details of what goes on, but I will say this: it was for the raza from the Mexicans from Southern California. It was established if you use a razor blade on somebody when you're on the main line, that was gonna be considered a fucking PC move. You're not gonna kill them. If it wasn't a box cutter that was gonna completely cut them wide open from ear to ear, you didn't use a razor. You're on the yard. You got steel. So somebody flinging a tray. This guy, that wasn't an old Folsom. That dude, maybe that happened in CMC or something where because he was in CMC as well. I think he's got his stories mixed up.
Right off their head. Um, Weight piles. You go out to the weight pile.
Mm-hmm.
You better be really cautious about who you're working around and working out with, because nobody would think something about picking a 40-pound dumbbell up and smashing your skull with it.
Um, Better thing to be cautious of is how you speak. He's saying be cautious of who you're working out with. No, if you're not sticking your nose in other people's business, if you're not flapping your mouth where it doesn't belong, if you're not talking to people disrespectful or conducting yourselves in a disrespectful manner, then the only ones you would have to watch out for would be rivals, not your own. But again, this is the salsa these guys put on their tacos. Prison is bad enough as it is. We don't need to tell stories and lie about what goes on. We just tell the story of what really goes on in there. Those guys like this that are willing to make stuff up and name these different factions and these groups and these organizations that should never be spoken on. Then you're willing to go that far. At least tell the truth. It's bad enough.
Or smashing your kneecaps with it. I was there about 9 months before I got transferred to San Quentin. And funny enough, one of the people that was there that I knew, I had known when I was a kid on the streets. And his name was Doug Stankiewicz. And I knew him. I knew him and his family. They were Mono Indians. I knew his brother Johnny. In 1972 and 19...
Is this new? I didn't hear him ever tell this in the other interviews with Sean Atwood. So I don't know if this is new or not.
76, the California Supreme Court threw out the death penalty. When they reinstated it in 77, the very first person to go to death row was Doug Stankiewicz. It's one of these things where you're on the upper yard and they bring somebody out death row to take somewhere to medical or something, and they yell, everybody face the wall, dead man walking.
Look at the emphasis. He loved saying that. That was very impressive to his mind.
And you hear the guards saying this. And I always wondered how'd that make the guy there walking feel, because I knew every time I'd hear it, I shuddered. Because, you're telling the guy, you're a dead man. But
he knew he was a dead man when he committed his crime. Different era, different mindset. When you make a decision, you're going to do certain things. Like myself, when I made a decision to chase a guy down, unfortunate, horrible decision when I chose to chase a dude down a block and a half and shoot him in the back of the head, I was willing to accept the death penalty. I knew what was coming. So the fact that somebody else says dead man walking, it is what it is. I don't know why he's shuddering, but especially when he acts so, I don't know.
But with California, unlike Florida and Texas, if you get the death penalty, you're far more likely to die of old age,
Exactly.
than you are to be put to death. Because Doug Stankiewicz is still alive today, even though they have put people to death.
Did you get into any like physical altercations in jail, and what would they kind of be about and over?
Well, at Folsom, when I first went there, I got into a beef with the Aryan Brotherhood. They always say that they formed up to protect whites from the blacks and the Hispanics. But what I saw was that they generally victimized the whites, and but it all came down to power, drugs, and because I didn't want to be a part of their thing, they didn't appreciate the fact that I told them, yeah, I don't need you. Initially, I was called in to go into the boxing ring because the idea was if you went into a fight ring, the guards you wouldn't get written up no matter what happened in the ring. The first guy they sent against me was a much larger man than me. The problem was he underestimated me, and I ended up putting him down. And then that made it even worse because now they're like, wait a minute, now we need to know about him. And it became that kind of thing. And but it wasn't until I actually got to San Quentin that they had sent guys to try to stab me up. But I got word. I had taped up National Geographic magazines around my arms and had telephone books made into a stab vest under my jacket. But even at that, one of the guys had a knife big enough and strong enough that even when he did, it still went through the magazines and stabbed me about an inch into my arm.
Is this guy serious?
I got this. One of them got slashed across the face by one of the other guy's knives trying to get me, and I ended up breaking one of their arms. And we ended up getting this culture case.
Okay, this story's different than the other time we told it. Not surprising. I wish he would have went into the detail he went into the other ones, but I don't think he could remember those details. Remember, when you tell a lie, the problem with lying is you have to remember all the lies.
Over with, and I was able to get away without being caught. They had injuries, so they of course got taken to medical. But the thing is, they can't tell because to tell means that they're going to get, PC'd up.
This is those of you that have been in the joint know. When there's a stabbing, when they call everybody in from yard, they're gonna strip you down. I don't know about his era, but if they got two guys with injuries, and they know those two guys are from the same faction and running together, they're going to be wanting to search. And if you have a gash, a 1-inch gash, from a knife big enough to go through a magazine, and then an inch into your arm, you're going to be leaking. And that would have been seen. But, I mean, it's his show. I'm just a commercial.
Protective custody because you don't tell. My thing was that I'm not going to slap fight with you. You tried to come over here and cause me a problem. I'm going to try to hurt you. And I'm going to try to make sure you know you got hurt so you won't want to come back again. And that's the way it worked out. Oh, yeah. Most of the prisons I was at, with the exception of a very few couple, there were stabbings all the time. Even at DVI, there were cell killings. Two guys beat in a cell. One guy got mad at the other guy, kill him. Then go to breakfast, come back and tell the cop, hey, you got to get that body out of my cell, it's stinking. And that's the first time the cop knows there's somebody dead in that cell.
Yeah, right. So let's get this straight. The guy kills the cellie and then tells the cops, hey, get that body in. So he tells on himself.
To be honest, like Ed Kemper, and I don't know, a lot of people know who he is. When I first saw him walk into the room, he was giving us part of our orientation the second day I was in prison. He was like 6'6", 6'7", 300 pounds. And he walked in the room, and my first thought was like, if I ever had to fight this man, I'd have to try to kill him because I mean, this guy was just, he has that kind of weird, ominous presence that he's a danger just in his way walking in. And he spoke to us in a very monotone thing. And one of the things that got me was when he was talking to us, he goes, every man must have a moral compass. You must not deviate from your moral compass. And I'm looking at the guy going,
what orientation is this? What orientation is it? I don't get what orientation. Do they have convicts coming in? I don't know. This is foreign.
And you did what? I mean, where's the moral compass here? But luckily, with my situation with him, I only had a couple of minor dealings with him there. And then when I went to work.
Who the hell is this guy? Kemper, matter of fact. I don't even know if I want to call him a convict because I don't know anything about him. So let me just say inmate for now. I don't know. He said he killed 10 people. I don't know. But if he had any foul crimes in those 10 killings, then he definitely wasn't going to be walking around doing an orientation. I never seen an orientation where they have an inmate or a convict come in and talk to you. The hell?
In a hospital, he came in one time, and I had to get him into a room to be seen, and having to go. Would you come here with me? And go over there and sit down over there, and having him just stare at me with this like deadpan eyes. It was like he wasn't, and he didn't engage me verbally. He just looked at me. I was like, oh, Christ, But Charlie Manson, a whole different character. I was there about a week, and a guy goes, hey, you want to meet Charlie Manson? And I went, Charlie Manson? He goes, yeah, he's here. He works as a gardener in the Catholic chapel garden. So he took me over to see him, and I saw him from the door. I didn't actually go in to meet him at that moment. And quite honestly, I was disappointed. And here's this little tiny man, beard, hair, and I kept thinking the way everybody talked about Charlie, he would be a larger man, and he wasn't. But my first actual interaction with him, he was at the canteen line, and he had rocks that he had painted. And he goes, you want to buy one of my rocks? No, I don't want to buy one of your rocks. Well, you don't want to buy one of my rocks? And he goes, don't you know who I am? I'm Charles Manson. I'm more famous than Jesus Christ. And I'm like, okay. And I just ignored it, right? And again, it's one of those things where he was used to being somebody that people don't ignore. Well, I'm working in the clinic.
What do you mean? In prison, he's just another person. Like, everybody is just another person. Unless they're one of those guys, from an organization. But even then, you're not going to be. Everybody conducts themselves like men. So I don't know. This dude puts so much salsa on these tacos he's serving us. It's a trip. But he's not going into the details like he did last time. I thought we were going to be able to have fun.
And one of the things they would do is always trying to get needles, and any drugs they could steal from the clinic. Well, a lot of times they would go and they would pressure the young guys who were working there to steal the stuff. One day he came in and he goes, look, here's a list of stuff I need. And I go, sorry about your luck. So he goes, no, you don't understand. I want this stuff. I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, you've got to learn how to play this. No, I don't. And so he gets real frustrated, and all of a sudden he just starts screaming at the top of his lungs, and he's jumping up on chairs, jumping off chairs, and all this. His staff's running towards him. And I see some of his other friends come running in. They hit one of the med cabinets real quick and grab a bunch of stuff and run back out.
Oh my God. What cartoon is this? So Manson doesn't know this guy and goes and make demands. Could that be possible that he would be J-Cat enough or crazy enough to do that? Possible. But then it just turns into a distraction, and then like the Three Stooges, the medicine cabinets are all unlocked. They're not even locked in a fucking level 4 prison. Why not just do the distraction from jump? Why not do the Three Stooges from jump?
Quite honestly, having known Tex Watson and having met Charlie Manson, I've always believed that Tex Watson was really, he was the force behind the family.
Is this guy not known? I told a story a long time ago, a few years back on my other channel. I'm not going to go into the story, but the bottom line is this. The muscle can't move without the brain. Okay? Tex Watson was the muscle. Charles Manson was the brain. I don't think Charles Manson ever killed anybody. He was just a weirdo that was able to convince other weirdos to do weird shit. That was it.
Charlie was the head, the figurehead. He made the great little cartoon character figurehead.
Like yourself.
But Tex Watson was a very calculating man, because when I met him at California Men's Colony, he was the
CMC. I said it earlier.
Inmate pastor in the Protestant church. He'd married a minister's daughter. He had developed this yoke fellow following of people. And the thing was, you got to remember, he was the one that told the girls, Charlie says we've got to do this. Well, I'm sorry, you got Charlie Manson, you got Charles Tex Watson. Charlie didn't say which Charlie told him. He was another guy that was highly intelligent. And most of the guys I knew that were serial killers were just top-notch intelligence, just not necessarily the guy you want to invite home for dinner.
Can you talk a little bit about the lead up to being released and what happened?
I've been to 9 parole hearings, and I kept being denied. And part of their argument was that I would be deported. And they thought that, well, I would just not be able to fit in over here, so I would become a massive criminal over here. 2013, I went before a parole board, and I got found suitable. And it went before the governor, and the governor was Jerry Brown, who had been a governor back in the 70s, and back then he gave the Prisoners' Bill of Rights and gave a lot of inmates rights that they took away later. And he said no.
And I know I said this before. It drives me crazy when he does that shit. I don't know if it's a pet peeve of mine, but what I have to say about that one, where's it at? Oh, man. No, that wasn't the right one. I wanted to boo him. Where's the boo? Oh, man. You know what? Let me keep my finger there, because every time he does it, let me try to hit that.
And he didn't give me a reason. So we asked, and he said, because I can. And I argued in court that because I can is not a legal reason. I mean, that's like a mean reason. So it took me 4 more years to get found suitable again. They tried to fly me home on British Airways because it'd be a nonstop, but British Airways wouldn't let me be shackled. So they brought me on Delta, and I had waist chains and handcuffs on.
Why?
And we went to the Sacramento airport, and they threw a sweatshirt over my hands. It says, "Don't try not to look out of ordinary." I've got 2 guys in suits holding my arms, and my hands are like this with a sweatshirt over it. We landed in Heathrow. They had taken all the stuff, anything I had at the prison, which was over $2,000, they took from me to pay for my detention. I was given a 5-pound note. Walked up to the border people. Customs man comes out to me, shakes my hand, asks me how I'm doing. Told him I'm doing well. Looks at my documents, says, how long have you been gone? I said, 64 years. He goes, why are you back? I said, I'm home. He goes, yes, you are. He goes, now just walk right down there to pick up your bags and head on out. But I started.
Exactly. I don't understand the whole chaining and shackling and all that. If you have 2 people on you that are escorting you, flying with you to make sure you get to the United Kingdom, you're already a free man. You were found suitable. I don't know. I don't get it. I think we did more than enough. This time Jaime was boring because he didn't put the details in. Like I said, the thing about lying is you got to remember every lie. And I don't think he's going to be able to remember because there was so many. This is today's video. There'll be another one tomorrow. We're back on schedule. You're gonna get this. Excuse me. I need you guys to let me know in the comment section, or those of you that follow me on IG, hit me up on IG. Let me know of the videos that you want me to see, you guys want me to react to. Don't talk too loud. Jaime has fallen asleep at this point. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. And everybody, please stay safe, stay smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, right? I'm out.